Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Ryan Shazier, and you tune in to Second Win Podcast. So I'm not gonna lie, it is hard because it's been, this year will be 6 years, in December. I hate when people say, man, I understand what you're going through, that I can relate with you. And it's like, nobody actually understands what you're going through. Have you ever, played a game in front of 10 million people, and you felt like you was the best in the world at what you did, and you was gonna make the most money you was gonna ever make in your life, and then all of that stopped abruptly?
Obviously, people know the rich tradition of, being a Pittsburgh Steeler. And, the Rooneys have a rich tradition, just great people. And obviously Mike Tomlin there. How impactful and important was it for you to go to that organization and the impact they had on you?
It was a blessing.
You talked about how, Tomlin came in when, everything happened with your injury and, all your teammates were busy. You would have team meetings and, in the hospital.
We really built friendships, and we built, a chemistry, and it's just guys just really wanted to support each other, and we all just wanted to win. As I was going through the toughest time of my life, that those people were there for me.
Before this episode starts, I just want to give a huge shout out to all of our fans and supporters who support the podcast. We really appreciate all the support. With that being said, can you please do us a favor and hit that subscribe button? Obviously, as the channel gets bigger guests, and more content, better content, so we can show you guys. Hope you enjoy the episode. Tune in.
Also, we just dropped some Second Win merch. We got the fire trucker hats. We got the all black.
Yep.
We got the all white, and we got the black and white. So, you know what I'm saying? You can put it on backwards. You can put it on sideways. You can put it on front. It's fire with everything. Check the link in the description. Want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, HelloFresh. HelloFresh is the #1 meal kit in America. And one thing that I hate about cooking is taking an hour and a half to make the food and then eating it in 15 minutes. HelloFresh delivers fresh groceries right to your front door, and they make it easy to make. 15 minutes to make, 15 minutes to eat. So it's an even trade-off, which brings me to the next thing that I love about HelloFresh is you don't have to go to the grocery store and look for your food for an hour and a half. You don't have to stand in line. You don't have to take 30 minutes to go back home. By the end of the day, it's a 2-hour process. HelloFresh comes right to your front door, and it tastes great. If you want to try HelloFresh, go to HelloFresh.com/secondwin50 and get 50% off along with free shipping. Again, that's HelloFresh.com/secondwin50 and get 50% off. 50% off along with free shipping. Enjoy the show. Hey, man. You see what's going on. Got the HelloFresh enchiladas going. Me and Jarvis did some sweet talking. Got y'all HelloFresh for 50% off. Ain't nothing 50% off no more. So go cop up on some HelloFresh. Use code SecondWin50. Second Win family, what up? You are now tuned in to another episode of the Second Win Podcast. I'm James, a.k.a. Gio, here again with my brother, my ace, my slime, Jay Millie.
Back again.
We done pulled up to Pittsburgh, man, to interview someone that I'm a huge fan of, someone who really embodies everything that Second Win is, hard work, resiliency, and just an all-around, amazing person. Pittsburgh Steelers legend. Pro Bowler.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ryan Shazier is on the show today,
Appreciate
brother.
you hopping on, brother.
What's up, y'all boys? What's up? Appreciate y'all having me.
Of course, man. Yeah, had to get you on here, man. I met you about 2 years ago when I was playing, and before this podcast even was a thing, I was like, yo, I got to get him on the podcast. When we started, I was like, he's like one of the first guys you were in mind of having. So, this is a blessing just to have you on here, man.
No, I'm really happy to be on here. It's really exciting. I always talk about your story, always talk about what you've been through, and just always trying to inspire and motivate other people. So I'm glad to hear y'all got a podcast that just talk about comeback stories.
Oh, no doubt,
sure, man. I mean, y'all got the Pittsburgh Steelers connection,
man.
But I'm a huge fan of you because I watched you growing up. You know what I'm saying? I vividly remember a game where you was snapping, going crazy. You had 15 tackles, tackle for loss, forced fumble. I forget. I think it was maybe San Fran. It was a San Fran game. You was going federal, and then whenever I played Madden, you was the fastest.
I used to have him roaming.
Bro, you was the fastest linebacker. You used to make me so much money. So I want to give you your flowers for that.
Yeah, I appreciate
that.
You
know what I'm saying?
The GOAT for real, bro.
The GOAT for real. But
appreciate that.
Just getting into it, obviously everybody knows your Second Win story, right? And we're gonna get into that a little bit later. But something that really amazes me about you is your reputation and how you carry yourself. You're very well spoken. You're super intelligent. I work in sports and I've never heard anything negative about you. So what shaped how you are as a man?
So I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm sorry about that. My parents are huge huge role models and support system to me. You know, so like one of my favorite athletes of all time is Muhammad Ali. Obviously, he's been through a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying, but just my father, one thing growing up, he was the chaplain for the Dolphins. My father's a pastor. My mom's a homemaker, but she's a very positive person. And what they instilled in me is that just understanding that life is like a trash bag. And most people are like, how does that make sense? But what I mean by that is the more garbage you put in your trash bag, the less people want to deal with you. You know what I'm saying? And my dad taught me that.
That's a bar.
Yeah.
That's a bar.
I'm
gonna use that on the Instagram caption.
You gotta take that now, huh?
Yeah, you good. Yeah. But my dad taught me that, and I remember when I was going to high school. So my parents, they didn't want me to go to this high school because like where we lived at, we just moved. It was a high school there, and it was a good high school. Patrick Peterson went there. It was Tyrone Carter went there. It was athletes went there. Tyrone Moss, he ended up going to Miami. It's a lot of athletes went there. Rashad Robinson, and it was a good school. Like they known for like bringing out good players, but it was also like a hood school. It was it was a tough school. Yeah. So I remember coming out of middle school, I always told my parents, I was like, hey, I want to go to Ely. I want to go to Ely. I want to, like, we live there. I want to go there. My parents were like, all right, you know, at the end of the day, you are a kid, but if that's where you want to go, we're going to let you make that decision. Like, it's right there. You know, so I ended up going to that school, and I would get in. But before I went to the school, my dad had a conversation with me, and we drove around in the car. Drove up to the school, drove around, and he told me that same thing. He was like, Ryan, when it comes to sports, there's always gonna be you versus another man. Like in every situation, you know, if it's women, it's you versus another woman. But you have to always understand that in both of those situations, if both of y'all are the exact same player, they're gonna look in your trash bag. You know what I'm saying? And that's gonna decide on if they're gonna pick you or if they're gonna let you go. Or like they're gonna go in a different direction. Because like some people might have a lot of trash, but if you're an impact player, they want to deal with it. But Coach Tomlin used to say this all the time: "I'm gonna deal with you until I don't need you."
Yes.
Yes, man, he says that.
Yes, and yes. I'm gonna say another thing he used to say, and we're gonna talk about later. But yeah, that's one of the things he used to say.
Yeah, and he don't say it in like a bad way, but he was just basically like, if you're gonna be out here doing that BS, just make sure your production match that BS.
Matches it.
You know what I'm saying? So my dad used to always tell me, but if you don't have all that BS with you, it's so much easier for people to deal with you. And then another thing he had a conversation with me was, he was like, hey, when you go to school and when you play sports, it's 3 things that people are going to talk about. When they're going to talk about having money, most people don't have money like they say they got it. They're going to talk about having girls. Most dudes don't have girls like they say they do. And most people are going to try to influence you with something with like drugs or this or that. And it was like everybody trying to seem cool than they actually are. He was like, Ryan, if you don't fall into those things and just be the person you are, like you don't have to brag about who you slept with. You don't have to brag about how much money you got. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, you work for all that stuff. Like if you want a girl, you have to work for her. If you want money, you have to work for it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like all that other stuff is just stuff that kind of take you away from who you really are. And he told me all this going into high school.
Yeah, so you learned really young.
Yeah, so basically when I got to high school, he was just like, you start seeing all that stuff play out. Like dudes be like, oh man, I got all this money. And it's like in high school, dudes with $1,000, that's a hella bread.
Right.
You up, like I'm up.
Right. You feel like you the mayor.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like you that's hella bread. But the thing is, like the way they getting that bread, you'll come back later. After I leave high school, you'll see that same dude getting arrested, doing something dumb. You know what I'm saying? So like my dad and my mom just did a really good job of like really honing me in on like, hey, don't put nothing in front of your reputation. You like because it's like it's so many. You might be hanging out with all these dudes, but you have way more to lose than them. And so it's just sometimes I just really, you know, it sucks because you want to do this, and that, but it's just you have to understand like I got to lock in. You know, like that's kind of my mindset.
Yeah, you've always been conscious about that since you've been young.
Yes, I do. I, you know, sometimes I make mistakes and you do things that's fun, but it's just like I always knew I was like, hey, like whatever I do, I got to make sure like I got to lock in. I can't let this like take away from what my name is, like what I built for my family.
That structure is important because it made you mature at an earlier age. You realize I got more to lose. It's not a lot of people that have that blessing to have that good structured, and a dad to be like, Ryan this, Ryan that, or your mom be like, Ryan this, Ryan that. So you matured and you realized you had a lot to lose and what your goals were. So that's important.
Yeah, no, it's very important. Like I understood, and my goal was to go to the league. And to me, I thought going to the league was like, hey man, you got to be on the clean and narrow. You can't be getting in trouble. You got to like I don't want. Like, if the reason I don't make it to the league, I wanted to be strictly because I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't want, Ryan got this going on, Ryan got that going on, man. Like, he a red flag. And it's just like, I spent a lot of time with guys, and I just seen how they let that stuff just take away their opportunity. And it's just like, some of the best guys I ever seen play football are not playing football.
Yeah, we were just talking about that too.
Insane, yeah.
So many guys, there's so many people on the street right now, regular street clothes, that should be in the league.
Yeah. And it's just, they let that opportunity get away from them, you know, and I just wanted to make sure I didn't do that for myself, and I thought it's really important, just even the reputation. Like, my parents also taught, Ohio State taught me this as well, but my parents also taught me, just building a network of people that you can depend on, a network of people, and just constantly networking. Coach Tomlin, one day we had a team meeting. This was right before we were about to play the Ravens, and he told us he had a meeting, and he basically was in the elevator, and like on the way to our team meeting, he was in the elevator, and a guy was like, "Hey, are you Coach Tomlin?" And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, would you mind if I take a picture?" And Coach was like, "Yeah, no problem." Like, it was just a selfie.
Right.
Nothing big. And he was like, "Man, you don't understand how much this selfie changed my life." He was like I really had a really tough day. I was like really contemplating on like suicide. This is a really bad day for me.
Jeez.
He was like, just meeting you in this elevator really like brightened my day. And in the meeting before we played the Ravens, he talked about this, and he was just like, y'all just don't understand the impact that y'all have on people and how you can change somebody's life. And like, that was my rookie year. And like, from that moment on, whenever I get the opportunity, I always try to like go on my way to, make somebody's day better.
Yeah.
So, and I think, that's why after I got hurt, it was so much easier for people to be like, hey man, I want to support that guy.
Yeah.
I respect that guy, because to me, I was going on my way to make people happy, and I think people were trying to do the same thing for me.
Yes, sir.
That's dope.
That's really dope. So you go to Ohio State, kill it, man. You have a great career there. End up getting drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, 15th overall, and obviously people know the rich tradition of being a Pittsburgh Steeler. And, the Rooneys have a rich tradition, just great people, and obviously Mike Tomlin there. How impactful and important was it for you to go to that organization and the impact they had on you?
So it was, to me, I thought it was really important, and it was a blessing, because like, to be able to get drafted by the Steelers is, like, a lot of people don't understand this, but from the 70s to now, when people think of the Steelers, or when people think of sports teams in general with any success, there's like 4 or 5 teams in every sport that you think of like, oh, this is a winning franchise.
Yeah, immediately.
Yes.
And Steelers is one of them.
Yes, sir.
So to be able to get drafted somewhere, and it's like, all right, these are winners, and you have a coach who's known for winning, and you have the opportunity to, like, every single time you out there, it's more likely going to be a dub. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, like, to me, that mindset, like, I remember I had an argument with one of my friends before, and I'm like, there's no knock on the Browns, there's no knock on anybody. But he was like, would you rather go to the Browns for $100 million, or would you rather stay to the Steelers for like $70 or $80 million? Right? And I said, I'd rather stay at the Steelers for $70 or $80 million. He's like, bro, you're going to leave $30 million on the table, $20 million on the table. I was like, for me, it's about winning, bro. I can't imagine going to a job every single day
knowing you're
going to take a loss.
Yeah, facts.
It's like me, I'm a competitor. It's like I'm trying to win. I'm trying to get championships. And it's
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Especially Steelers defense, they have such a long history of like having great defense.
Yeah.
So like for you, it's like, I'm no better place.
Right. So it's like, at the end of the day, like, obviously you want the most bread you can get, but it's like, at what cost? Because if you can have all the bread in the world, but if y'all ain't winning, you miserable.
Oh,
it's
super.
like, and that's not, and I want to go to the Hall of Fame. It's not a lot of Hall of Famers that's losers.
That's a bar too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, that's
like,
true.
No,
I'm thinking like, no.
I can't really name any.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a few guys that made it to Hall of Fame that didn't win no championships, like Dan Marino, you know, like Larry Fitzgerald gonna go. You know, it's guys that's gonna go, and it's guys that's dogs, you know what I'm saying? But, like, a lot of guys played a lot longer because they was waiting for that championship, you know, and it never came, you know? So, to me, I think it was very important because one thing that the Steelers say is the standard is the standard. And most people probably understand, like, what does that mean? It's like, yo, the standard here is winning. The standard here is championships.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Yes.
Like, if you're not winning championships or you're not winning, people in the city, like, they get depressed. But you also feel tension within the organization, you know. But so I thought that really helped me out because when I wanted to go back and watch film, it's like, all right, man, help me find film of Jack Lambert or Jack Ham or like Joey Porter, or let me see like what they used to do to be a great linebacker. I didn't have to go look up through the NFL archives. I can really just ask them, like, hey, can you help me find this? And I feel like that really helped me understand, like, the player I wanted to be. And then everybody kind of on the same wavelength. When your coaches are trying to win just as hard as you trying to win, and everybody there is holding each other accountable, when I got drafted here, it made it very easy for me because I remember when I got drafted my rookie year, and this was, I needed this. My rookie year, I got hurt a bit, and I wasn't playing the best, but I feel like I was playing pretty good. And Troy came to me. He was like, Ryan, stop putting so much stress on yourself. Because, like, my locker was, like, here, and Troy locker was here. You know, like, how it's like a big square?
Yeah, the big square, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, basically, he was on the one end of the square, and, like, I was the next locker to him.
Yeah.
So he basically was like, Ryan, stop putting so much pressure on yourself. And I was like, man, I just want to have a great season. I want to be a Rookie of the Year candidate. And I got hurt so many games, I couldn't be a Rookie of the Year candidate. But he was like, Ryan, think about this. He's like, I'm a great player. Everybody know what type of player I was and know what type of player I am. He said, my rookie year was so bad that I could have possibly won Offensive Player of the Year, how many touchdowns I gave up.
Jeez. He said that?
He said that to me.
Wow.
So then when he said that, I was like, dang, like, even Troy wasn't perfect. You know what I'm saying? And I think, like, having mentors like that in the facility and having great players like that, it give you just the understanding, like, all right, like everything's not gonna be perfect. You have to, like, just calm down. And I think just being drafted here and having those people walk into the facility all the time, I think it made it a lot easier.
I think in the conversation we were having before, you were talking about, like, a winning team and having a culture. Like, when I was there, just, like, you know, the stuff I learned from just the culture, just being there, and the type of people they draft, they bring in, and, like, you know, the personnel they have is, like, where the culture is all one sync. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's trying to win, but I also noticed, like, how they treat people. You know what I'm saying? Just, like, the whole organization. Like, one of the biggest things I took away from Mike Tomlin, he always used to say, accept, adjust, and move forward. Always. And that's, like, one of the things I always take away from being there. Just, like, I learned so many life lessons. So it's just, like, you telling me these stories, I'm just like, it makes so much sense because that's the Steeler way. Having good teammates, having good role models, like, that's what they do. Yeah. Or even, like, you know, Mr. Rooney, I'm an undrafted free agent, and, you know, he walks past me and says my name. I'm like, oh. You know what I'm saying? I would never expect him to know me. Yeah. Just, like, the Steeler way is just, you know, amazing.
Yeah, is it because to them it's a lifestyle. To some other people it's a hobby. And, you know, their lifestyle and their family is understanding, like, we have to win. We're trying to win championships. But then also is the Rooneys are in there every single day. Obviously, they own other businesses. They have other things that's cooking as well. But they're in there every single day, and they want their franchise to win. They know exactly what's going on with their business. You know, some other people, they might, you know, buy a business and like, hey, I'm just gonna hand this off to Jarvis. And, hey, Jarvis, you run it. Jarvis, you don't do a good enough job. We're gonna get somebody else to run it.
Right.
Like, it's really hard to build a chemistry like that if you're not really in the mix. You're not even in the trenches.
They show you, because they were at practice all the time, like you were saying. Yeah, they show their face.
They're there every day.
Yeah, every day.
I can pull up to the facility today. They're going to be there. Like
the owners.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like at training camp, they're there.
Like, on the field, watching, knowing, talking to players. Like
they know. Like,
see, that's dope.
Like in draft meetings, they're not drafting somebody based off of like what ESPN and Fox and all these people are saying. Like, they're in meetings. They're actually like scouting. Like they actually know the ins and outs of the business. Like Mr. Rooney, before he became the owner, you know, and his father passed, he went through the ranks of understanding like what a coach job is, what a scout job is, what an executive job is. So it's like now when it comes to talking to the player, it's like, all right, they're not talking to you about X's and O's, but if they need to talk to you about it, or they need to understand something about it, or they need to, hey, why is Ryan not playing well right now? And they can look at the film and actually know why, instead of like listening to what somebody else got to say. That makes a huge impact on winning and losing.
Yeah.
You know, like, because they know what a winner looks like. Somebody can have all the X's and O's and be the greatest player of all time, you know, and I'm not about to name any players because I'm not about name shaming, but they could be the greatest player of all time. It's a difference between, you know, Patrick Mahomes, who's a winner, and another guy who might be just as good as Patrick Mahomes, but they can't figure out a way to get the dub.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and from going to practice every day and actually scouting those guys and being in those meetings, that's how you see that. That's how you learn that.
That tells you the difference.
You know, that tells you the difference. And a lot of people, they kind of lean on other people, and you know, they put their input based off of like what they hear and who they think is the best off of other insight.
Right.
The details.
For sure. That accept, adjust, move forward. You told me you came up with that. So we're going to
have
to have a conversation.
You know what I'm saying? Now
we're going to have a conversation off the camera.
I mean, I didn't steal it, but I give credit when credit due now.
You ain't tell me, like, Tomlin brought that to your attention.
I cited my sources, brother.
So somebody told me, you say something once, you got to quote them. You say something twice, you say somebody great told you that. You say it 3 times, it's not yours.
It's yours? This must be my
That's
third.
Why you've been saying that BS to me. We're going to have to talk about that after this. Shoot. So, you know, you get to Pittsburgh, you are a dog, like you are a monster. And then December 4th, you know, 2017 happens where, you know, the spinal contusion changed your life forever, right? And you talked about that so many times. Like, we're not going to harp on that. It's more so I want to talk about your second wind after, you know, that. And, you know, I watched the podcast you were on, Big Ben's show, right? And you spoke about how it was hard to kind of find purpose then. Do you feel like, you know, day to day, it's easier to find purpose now?
So I think it's always hard, you know, to find purpose after you do something for such a long time.
Yeah.
And you felt like that thing that you did for a long time was like, hey, this is my job. This is what I'm going to do. So finding purpose to me now is being able to make an impact on other people's lives. So even the businesses that I'm a part of, I try to make an impact on other people's lives. Like, so I own part of a marijuana company. Like, but to me, I thought it was really important because when I was going through my injury, that was something that helped me deal with pain. That was something that helped me deal with my mental state. That helped people change people's lives. And I'm not, you know, and it's all medical, you know.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to my podcast, we talk about comeback stories and how people overcame, so it inspires other people and help them change their lives. You know, when it comes to like even my logistics company, I own a Black-owned business, and it's when it comes to trying to employ more in minorities in the Pittsburgh community, or just more minorities in the community in general. It's like about changing people's lives.
Oh, that's respect.
You know, so to me, I think it's more about so it's two things. It's really hard to say, hey, I love anything like I used to love football.
Right.
Like obviously the only thing that's probably as close as love to football is my family and God. But when it comes to what my purpose is now, I really feel like it's really making an impact in other people's lives and inspiring them to do better, and just showing them that you have to adjust. And you have to, once you adjust, you have to put your pedal to the metal and keep going. You know, you can't settle. And that's one thing I think about in life, that, you know, with me playing ball, with me understanding how to overcome all this stuff before I got hurt, and then after I got hurt, it really just showed me like, hey, you can do this. So why not show everybody the recipe and the blueprint of doing it themselves? And so it's, I'm not gonna lie, it is hard because it's been, this year will be 6 years, you know, in December.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's still tough because if I never got hurt, I'll still be in the league.
For sure.
1000%.
Going dumb.
You know, so it is tough, you know, because at the end of the day, nobody wished their whole life since they was 5 years old to make it to the NFL, and then you can't play no more.
Yeah.
You know, so it's and that's for guys that, you know, who goal was to go to the Hall of Fame, and those for guys who didn't get drafted. Like everybody goal was to play as long as they can. You know, and then now to adjust, it's the same for you guys. Like, was it your goal to, you know, not play ball anymore? No, you have to figure out what you want to do, and you have to find purpose in it. And then if you can't find purpose in that, you got to keep searching for it. But I feel it's just something that you have to just keep reaching for, and then as you keep searching it within yourself, then it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
For you, how quick was it for you to find your purpose?
It was super hard.
It was because I just know, like, you know, I went through identity crisis. We've been playing, you know, you probably went through it too. Like, you played sports your whole life, and then for you it was abruptly. Yeah. So like me, like, you know, I made the decision. Like for you, it's like, you know, you still wanted to keep playing ball. So like I already know the identity, and like, you know, flipping that switch to find your next purpose. Yeah,
and I tell people this all the time. A lot of people they talk to me about, hey, I know that you know, I feel the same way as you. Like, I got hurt in this situation, or this happened to me, and I tell them, I was like, most people don't understand what I went through.
Exactly.
You know, because if you want to just do like a quick summary of everything of what happened in my life, like a lot of people try to say, hey, I understand what you've been through. I understand what it's like, what you've gone through. And I was like, and I tell people, like, I try to feel for you. I try to feel. I understand that you're hurt. I understand that you've been through something and your life changed. I understand that the way that you wanted your life to go, it changed. But I don't think anybody's life is similar. Like, you don't understand what nobody goes through.
Facts.
And the reason I say that is because in my situation, somebody can have the same exact spinal cord injury as me and may never walk again. But somebody might be in the same injury as me and may play again. But what I try to break down to people is, like, and I don't be a butthole about it, but if like somebody's like, hey, you know, I know what you're going through. And then if they just harping on me, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna break it down for you. Like, nobody knows what
understand that.
No one else could. And even, like, let's say in an alternate universe where someone else had the same exact injury, was in the same exact position, there's still, like,
it's still different.
Other factors, that play into it. So it's really like no one can really
relate to you.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, someone could probably, like, oh, I got hurt, or oh, I did this. But as far as like relating or knowing how you felt completely, like, no one could really feel
nobody
that.
can feel it. Because there was even points in my life where I thought I might not ever be able to have kids again. And it's just thinking about just so much different stuff that most people don't even think about. You know, and so, like, I hate when people say, man, I understand what you're going through. That I can relate with you. And it's like, no, like, nobody actually understands what you're going through, because there's so many other factors that people don't even know about. You know, so it was tough. It was difficult. But to me, I think it's, you know, you have to find a way to just keep pushing forward, because, you know, if you just think about all the negative that comes with it, you're not going to think of the positive that comes with it as well.
For sure. You
know, blessing come in so many different forms. Gifts come in so many different forms. And I wouldn't be able to tell y'all my story right now if I never got injured. Like, I don't know what my second win would be. I probably wouldn't have one. You know, I'll have a second win. Something probably would have happened, but it just not to the
like the extent.
The extent of what I went through myself.
You talked about like going to therapy, right? And you said it took you some time before you even went to therapy. How much has that helped you?
I think it helped me out a lot, because my therapist, she does a really good job of I actually talked to her today, of just kind of like, I tell her like, hey, this is my goals and this is where I want to be. And she kind of like hold me like to it kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool too, is like, because I do just tell her like, man, like, today was a really tough day. Like, I don't know why, like, I was on the game all day. Like, you know what I'm saying? But and then she'll break it down. I was like, man, you know, the reason you might have been on the game is because you're probably trying to hide away from something, or you're trying to like try to, you know, just escape from some pain, or you were just, you know, or you were just hurt. You know? So to be able to talk to somebody that actually understands people's people's motives and why they do things, I think it kind of helped out a lot. And I wasn't running from therapy when I was hurt. It was more that I just leaned on people that I trusted more than me actually talking to a therapist. But I probably should have talked to him from the get-go, because it would have probably been a little bit easier for me to find my purpose if I talked to him a little earlier.
I had to do the same thing. And I advise, we've talked about before on here, but just to hear you say it and reassure it, hopefully someone that's watching and listening can, feel like they can go do the same thing, because it helped me a lot after ball too, just to find my purpose and realize who I was as a person, not Jarvis, the football player.
Yeah, because that's the big thing that make it really difficult for a lot of people from the age of, I don't know when you played ball, but from the age of 5, 7, 10, 15 years old, everybody defined us as like, oh, that's Ryan Shazier, like the football player.
You're in the box. That's who you are.
He's an All-American. He's a guy that's, he's going to Ohio State, like, for ball. It's like, people don't be like, oh, people that really know you, they'll be like, oh, yeah, that's Ryan. Like, he's a good dude. Like, but majority of people know you by, like, your Madden stats.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, most people know, like, when I was younger, we had NCAA. Like, people knew you based off of NCAA and Madden and what they see off of TV.
Right.
Like, you can see somebody, like, for instance, Cam Hayward. I'm going to use him for example. When you see Cam Hayward on TV or James Harrison, people think, like, man, like, he's a bad dude. Like, oh, man, I don't want to ever want to, like, mess with that dude. Like,
yeah, for sure.
But, like, when you meet them in person, like, they're some of the best people you ever
Cam was one of the nicest dudes ever.
Yeah,
crazy. You would never know.
Super cool.
And that's the same thing kind of with me. It's like, people are like, man, you were such a dog on the field, man. I just thought you would be a butthole. And it's like, why would I be a butthole?
Right.
Like,
they define you by what they see.
Yeah, it's like, just because I tackle people hard don't make me mean. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of the nicest looking people on the field might be more buttholes than me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, for real.
You know what I'm saying? So it just, honestly, I just thought, oh, man, I just had a brain fart.
No, you're good. So your injury was just very unfortunate. And like I said, we were talking about before, being with the Steelers, like they had your back, took care of you. Not every organization is like that. But I heard you talk about, when you were playing, like the player safety and the protocols now. How do you feel like the league is protecting its players in season, or whether they're still playing post-career or during their career, compared to, like, when you were playing? Because I remember you talked about before, you never thought about making a tackle. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You never thought about making a tackle. And the one time you thought about making a tackle was the time you got hurt. Because you wanted to put your head to the side because of the new protocols. So how do you think, like, the league is taking care of its players in season and post-career?
To me, I think the league is doing their best. It's a combination of things. And what makes life tough right now is because of social media and media. So for instance, people talk about, like, concussions and all this type of stuff. Football's not even the number one sport in concussions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
what is it?
It's soccer.
Really?
Like soccer and hockey are, like, higher than football.
Yeah, hockey, they be.
Damn.
Yeah,
So, like, obviously boxing's gonna be up there, but it's not like it's not as many people.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
facts.
So, but it's like, when it comes to, like, the major sports, it's not even, like, the highest up there. But it's such a violent sport that people think, like, oh man, like, this dude just got knocked out. You know what I'm saying? Like, in soccer, somebody will just hit their head and they just walk off with somebody, and just like, but they just don't come back. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, it doesn't look as violent. So to me, I think the NFL is doing what they have to do and doing, like, what they need to do to try to protect the players. And I don't have any problem with them doing what they have to do to protect the players. I think it's just tough sometimes, like, when moms are like, I don't want my son playing football because all these concussions. It's like, your son gonna get a concussion playing soccer.
Basketball. It could be anything.
It could be anything. So it's a combination of, like, the media that guides what people think is important at that moment, which I think is tough. And if you're in the business, you have to do things to make sure that the product is good. Another thing, but I think it's really tough because when you have players playing at such a high pace and such a high speed, for you to tell them how to tackle or how to make a adjustment on something, it's extremely hard.
Yeah.
Like, I was watching the Netflix series Quarterback, and one episode, it was just talking about how often quarterbacks get hit. And I seen one time, like, Von Miller was tackling Kirk Cousins, like, as Kirk Cousins was throwing the ball. and he hit him, and he like literally made a whole tackle.
It held him.
But no, he made a tackle, but like let him go, but also stayed up on his feet. It was just like Von Miller is probably one of the most athletic dudes in the league.
Right.
But most dudes can't do that. It's like if you're tackling somebody and you're running full speed at them and you're telling me not to fall
a certain way.
I think that's very difficult.
Yeah.
You're telling me, hey, if this guy, like for instance, I'm not trying to say anything about you, Gio, but like you're shorter than me. You know what I'm saying? So like
just a little bit though, just a little bit shorter.
You know what I'm saying? But if you catch a ball and even if you duck a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Like your center of gravity is way lower than mine.
It's gonna be head to head.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like if I try to get my head out of the way, like it's hard. You know what I'm saying? So. And I think that's one thing that people fail to realize sometimes. It's like, oh, this man is just sniping. It's like you don't really have control if like where your head's going to end up. It's like I have control where mine is. So if somebody is like not looking and you just aim at the head, like obviously like that's more his fault.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but like to me, I think they just have to understand that it's really hard for us to gauge where we're hitting people, and then that's why it's been more missed tackles and more big plays, and at the end of the day, the bigger the plays, the more money the league's gonna make. So it's a combination of both things. So, but I think it just makes it really difficult on the defensive side of the ball when obviously everything is leaned towards the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think Jarvis started the question off talking about the Steelers organization, and you talked about how like Tomlin came in when everything happened with your injury and like all your teammates were busy. You would have team meetings and like in the hospital. Like that is so beautiful because like I don't know if every organization would do that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just the bond with those guys that they just got your back till the end.
Yeah. So that's the one thing I do like about my time in Pittsburgh and even at Ohio State, and it's just we really built friendships and we built like a chemistry, and it's just like guys just really want to support each other. And we all just wanted to win. And it was as I was getting better, I would go to the facility. But when I have rehab, I'll tell Coach Tomlin and Kevin and Mr. Rooney, hey, I'm having therapy today. If you guys have time, I just want to let you know. And sometimes and they'll show up. And it was
awesome. Man.
And it'll be cool just to see that as I was going through the toughest time of my life, that those people were there for me.
Yeah, they got your back.
And they had my back. And when we had the linebackers, like after, like it'll be, when you're in the hospital so long, it can be very depressing. So like they'll come in there and we'll just have like a Friday night where we'll all just chop it up and like play cards and just
That's
like
dope.
And just have pizza and just like kind of this. I think it really just built our friendship with a lot of those guys, but then I think it also made it a little easier for them to just play together and just understand responsibilities.
Family bonds, man, for real, because they're great people over there, and not a lot of people do that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, no, some of my friends that play on other teams, they tell me all the time, they're like, yeah, man, this a lot of teams would not have done what the Steelers have done. And to me, I always say, because people always tell me, like, Ryan, I don't know what I would have done if I was in your situation. And I was like, most people, when they're in that type of situation, they try to step up. Most people just don't think they will, but most people try to step up. And I'm just really happy to see that the Steelers did in that situation.
Yeah, that's super dope. Since, you see you're going on 6 years, the injury, right? Since then, you've been involved in so many different like business ventures, like with the podcast, you started the gym, the marijuana, like you got a trucking business, the logistics company, like you have your hand in so many different avenues. How do you juggle like all those different things that you do now?
I'm not gonna lie, it is very difficult sometimes, especially because I travel and then my calendar can definitely be busy. But it definitely just is good to have a good team and kind of everybody understanding everything that I do. So the first thing I ever started was my foundation, the Ryan Shazier Fund, and it helps individuals with spinal cord injuries. And to this day, I'm so happy with what we're doing. We raised over $2 million when it comes to just giving back to individuals with spinal cord injuries, and we've given out grants for over $400,000.
Oh, congratulations!
Damn,
congratulations
that
on
fire.
that. It's amazing.
Yeah, congrats
so
on
like
that.
allowing people the opportunity. It's a golden window program to allow them opportunities to, be able to walk again and just the resources they need to get better. But I think the biggest way to juggle it is honestly just communication and clarity. This is my best friend talk about this all the time, just having clarity in everything you do, because if we just let everybody know, it's like, hey, Ryan's doing all this, so he can't give you all his time. He can't give you every single moment of his time. It makes it a lot easier for people to understand what I'm dealing with.
For sure.
1 second. This is my wife.
Oh.
Come here. Michelle, come here.
Yeah,
You went to the gym already? Damn. All right.
Oh, no,
How you doing?
How you doing?
You probably gotta sit over there though.
I'm just gonna stay for 5 minutes.
No, you
Right.
I wasn't one in the group chat. Nice to meet you as well. No, you're fine. Nice to meet you.
So as we was talking about, like, how do I just keep my schedule in check, and me dealing with all this stuff, my wife actually helps me trying to keep my schedule in order. Like this morning, she kind of got mad at me because I told you guys I'll be here at 9:30, and I got here at 9:35. So
It's all good. No, it's all good.
Every great man has a great woman behind the scenes that's keeping everything together, making them look great, right?
Yep, structure. Yep, that good structure.
With all your different business ventures that you have going on, like, did you kind of take that like dog mentality that you had from football? Like, you used to wake up at 4:45 and work out, facility at 6, and then meetings ain't even start till 9 o'clock. Like, did you take that I'd rather say whoa than sick 'em thing with you?
I'm gonna be honest.
That's what Tomlin used to say
Yeah,
too.
he's
Stole
definitely.
that from. Yeah. But next time it's gonna be mine.
Here we go.
Wise man once told me that.
So I'm gonna be honest. That's one thing that I still have to apply even more. You know, because just still, like I was saying, trying to find my purpose, just trying to find where I'm trying to be at in life. I think it's really difficult. Like, trying to see in what areas what you want to take from ball and what you don't.
Yeah.
And like I know in business, sometimes you want to have it to be like, everybody's cool and it's like a family, but then also in situations when you got to let somebody go. When you play ball, you weren't the one letting people go.
Right. No, damn, that's a different perspective.
That's a great
for sure.
perspective.
So it's just like you have to figure out what you want to take and what you don't. So like, for instance, for me, it's tough because sometimes I do want to wake up at 4 and I do want to do those same things. And I feel like that's my most productive when I'm waking up early. But then also it's really tough because I do like stand up, you know what I'm saying? So it's a combination of, what I want to take and what I don't want to take. But I notice when I do take that approach and when I am up earlier, when I am penning in more work like I used to, that the production and everything I do definitely levels up a lot more.
That competitive mentality, you're always going to have that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you had mentioned before about getting into broadcasting, you have your own podcast and all that stuff. So obviously you keep up on sports and the Steelers team. So, you get a young talent like George Pickens, who's amazing, and then obviously like a TJ Watt. Like, what do you think about like this new Steelers team and they're revamped and how they're looking this year? So
I'm really excited about this season because the biggest thing I think about the Steelers is that they're one of those teams that is kind of going to be like they're under the radar right now.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because I play a lot of video games, to this day. Like even when I was younger, all the way to now, I play video games. That's kind of like my.
We gotta hop on Rainbow Six, by the way. I gotta hop on with you.
All right, cool.
Your little escape. You only play Rainbow Six?
No, I play everything. Like I play everything. Like
play Madden?
Nerd.
Yeah, I play everything.
I don't know if you can see me.
Nerd right
We'll
there.
talk about that off the camera. We'll talk about that off the camera.
No, but I literally play everything. But that's like my escape. You know what I'm saying? Like my video game is basically like my that's
Your
my
world.
escape. That's my world. You know what I'm saying? So I forgot what you asked.
No, we're just talking about the new Steelers team.
Yeah,
how they look.
For instance, when I play the game, and one thing I like playing the game is like you have a community.
Mm-hmm.
So on there, the community, and just when I hear people talk, when they talk about the team, they always say, well, they don't have this, they don't have that, they don't have this.
Yeah.
And one thing I like is that with them being such a young team, a lot of people really don't know what they have unless you actually watch all their games last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, Kenny, to everybody else in the league, they didn't watch, the 12 games that Kenny played.
His growth.
They didn't see his growth.
Yeah.
But they also didn't see when Kenny was at Pitt how he was from being at Pitt to to being his last year, he was a Heisman Trophy finalist.
Right. No.
He grew a lot.
Yeah.
Nah,
You know,
real rap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, so like people don't see that, you know what I'm saying? But like everybody's like, oh, y'all got Joe Burrow, y'all got Patrick Mahomes, y'all got Joe Burrow, y'all got Lamar Jackson, y'all got Deshaun, all in y'all division. And I was like, I'm gonna be honest, I just don't see the Steelers being the worst team in the division.
Right.
I think they got one of the best offenses on paper.
Yeah,
Bro.
you know,
Yeah.
so it just a lot of people just don't see it right now. Everybody talks about our defense, and our defense is going to stand up because Coach Tomlin is known for defense. I think the team is going to have a good year. I think that they can win, 10 or 11 games, maybe 12. I think that they're going to mess around and catch a lot of people by surprise by the end of the season, because Najee, we seen last year, once we started establishing a solid run game, Najee was hurt pretty much half the season last year, and he still had over 1,000 yards.
He's
rushing.
a workhorse. He's a workhorse, man.
Yeah, and then Jalen Warren's a really good player. I think Kenny, every time I say this, people always say, oh, you comparing him to Patrick Mahomes. I'm not comparing him to Patrick Mahomes. What I'm saying is Kenny in his second year, I wouldn't be surprised if he have a huge jump like Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow, like some of these type of guys. And because I remember Josh Allen, his first 2 years, it was really rough. And then now Josh Allen's one of the greatest quarterbacks in the world right now.
Yeah. One of the faces. He's one of the faces.
Yeah.
You know, everyone after his first year, everyone was kind of like, "Oh, Josh Allen's this, Josh Allen's that." Like, people don't even give players time to develop. It's like as soon as you step on the field, they expect you to just be like the best thing ever.
Wasn't Josh Allen on Madden last year?
He's
This year.
the new. He's the new cover this year.
He's the cover this
That's
year.
what I'm saying.
So he's the new cover of Madden already. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, I think Kenny, I'm not saying Kenny's going to be a world breaker. I hope he is. Mm-hmm. But I think that this is a year that he can have a big season. And if Kenny have a big season and just lead the offense to the promised land, I'm not saying that he has to have, like I said earlier, he doesn't have to have the best numbers in the world.
Right.
But if he constantly put his team in position to win games, that's all that matters. Yeah. And I think Kenny's going to do a good job of taking care of the ball and getting them in position to win. So I think they're going to be a good team.
For sure. You mentioned Najee, right? And how, once they got the run game going, it was a little bit more productive on the offensive side. What's your thoughts on, like, the current state of the running back? Because you were around when Le'Veon was going through his whole thing. And he's kind of like the poster child for all this. Like, he's kind of the first person to really, like, all this to happen to. Like, people be like, oh, he's not that, like, whatever, the situation with the running back. What are your thoughts on that?
To me, I think it's really difficult. And the reason I say it's difficult is because the running back is, from the start of football to now, has been a premier position. Like, literally the best player of running back.
Yeah.
The best athlete on the field.
Everybody wants to be the running back. Like, that was where you wanted to be. Now it's like.
Yeah. But now in the NFL, they've been noticing that you can get guys at different. You don't need to get a first round running back. But to me, that's very contradictory because it's two running backs that won the first round this year.
Yeah. Who are dogs.
So to me, I just think it's very difficult to gauge because what's making it tough for running backs is every team that won the Super Bowl, I think in the last 5 years, none of their running backs had over 1,000 yards. And I think the fact that you can get a Isaiah Pacheco in the later round, you can get some of these dogs in later rounds, I think it's really difficult for the running backs to demand as much money. But I do feel that they should get paid because the Giants would not have the season that they had if it weren't for the running back. The Eagles last year would not have the season they had. I know Jalen Hurts had went crazy. Yeah. But people fail to forget Miles Sanders was third in the league in rushing last year.
Yeah, we know Miles.
He was on our show talking about that halfway through the season.
Yeah. He was third in the league in rushing. The Chiefs is a whole different story because they have, to me, the greatest quarterback in the game.
Yeah, he's an anomaly. Like, you're not going to find another Pat Mahomes. That's what I was going to say. Like, because the Niners just kind of, obviously Brock Purdy was a good player, but they had dogs all over. So, like, the formula could be get a George Kittle, get a Christian McCaffrey, get a Debo, get a Brandon Ayuk, and then just plug the quarterback in. You know what I'm saying? It's like every quarterback that gets paid doesn't take their team to the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
So
it's like
the system.
I feel like it's easier to find good players at positions than to find a Pat Mahomes. You know what I'm saying?
Finding another Patrick Mahomes is going to be a while. Obviously the greatest quarterback of all time is Tom Brady. Yeah. But like when it comes to after that, he's already made a very strong case.
Yeah, right.
No, for real.
You know, so but it's not. But for the running backs, I think it's really difficult because the Chiefs have shown you a formula like, hey, we don't need a running back, but they also show you a formula how to win with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
You know, like when you talk about the Bengals, Joe Mixon is a dog.
Dog. And he just took a pay cut.
He took a pay cut because he's trying to win, but he's still a dog. But Josh Jacobs, dog. Christian McCaffrey, dog. Nick Chubb, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, so all those teams I just named, they wouldn't be anywhere if it weren't for their running back. Like, the only team maybe is the Bengals. And people fail to realize Joe Mixon is still a top 10 running back every single year.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Like, he gets the ball every single year and he's running it. You know, it's not like he's out here some bum.
Right. No,
You know,
for
so
sure.
I just think it's really difficult because, you know, teams are also understanding like, hey, we don't have to pay somebody that's going to get the ball 40 times all this money when we can get somebody in the 7th round that's going to run their life away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's like they trying to make it in the NFL.
Yeah, no,
you
for
know?
sure.
And I think the running backs that are going to get it paid and it's good for them, but it's going to be tough for like other guys are guys like Christian McCaffrey's, guys that are like Jahmyr Gibbs. You know, if he becomes an animal in the league.
Yeah,
guys
you can motion him out. You can do a
guys
lot
like
of
Kamara, like guys that can take 60 catches a year and turn that into 800 yards. So now you have 1,000 on the ground, 800 in the air. That's where they're trying to get the money to the guys that like are Debo Samuel type of guys where we don't have to give you the ball in the backfield only. And
Those two-way type of players.
yeah, those two-way type of tests.
Percy Harvin.
Yeah, I think he's the first
one to, like,
one of the first ones to ever do it.
For sure.
It's just tough.
As you know, as a linebacker, you watch football differently than like the average person. And when you played, like, did the running back affect like, you know, how you bit on play action or like how you read the play? Did that affect anything? Like,
It depends who it is.
Right.
Yeah, that's what
How
I'm
much
saying.
respect you
Because
give
people are
him.
like, oh, you can replace the running back, but it's like if you do a play action to Derrick Henry, it's much different than doing a play action to someone else.
Yeah,
Do you feel like that?
So 100%. Like, for instance, who is your team?
My favorite team?
Yeah.
Well, I don't really got a favorite team because I work in sports, so I work with a bunch of different guys. But like, I mean, I guess it would have to be the Giants.
by default.
By default, just
yeah.
because my best friend played for them.
Right.
So if your best friend is the running back, and last year they literally put the team on that man back. If you
I'm biting on that play for me.
if you acting like he about to get the ball,
Yeah.
at linebacker, you like, oh man, like Saquon about to get the ball.
Yeah,
like,
it
you know what I'm
matters.
saying? Like, it matters.
Right.
You
Facts.
know, compared to, hey, I'm not trying to sound like a butthole, but like, say if it's like a guy that's more of a 3rd round guy or something like that. I'm gonna be honest like this. Austin Eckler's a dog, straight dog. But play action in the Saquon or Derrick Henry or Nick Chubb is different than Austin Eckler.
Right. Yeah.
Because Austin Eckler about to get out there and give you routes.
Yes.
You know, like, so is Christian McCaffrey and so is Alvin Kamara. Christian McCaffrey kind of runs between the tackles a little bit more than the other two.
Yeah.
But it just depends who the running back is.
Yeah.
If it's Derrick Henry, he gets 40 touches.
So you know
getting
more
that
often
rock.
than not,
He's
when
getting
the
the
quarterback
ball.
go like this, he's getting the rock.
He's getting that rock.
But good ball players, good linebackers, good leaders, good coaches, they understand in the situation who's going to get the ball and who's not. Majority of the time, when they play action the ball, I know when the running back getting the ball and when he's not getting the ball.
Yeah.
If it's 2nd and 10 and you play action it on your own 20, I'm like, yo, bro, like, yeah.
I'm not biting on that.
I'm not biting on that. You know what I'm saying? But like, but if it's Derrick Henry and it's second and 10 on your own 20, it's like, yo, we trying to get out of this red zone situation. Let me give him the ball.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
You just gotta understand who you playing against. So
Yeah.
I think it's just tough. Like, for somebody like Alvin Kamara, it could be 2nd and 10. He play action, swoop behind you, and it's a screen. Now he gone. You know what I'm saying? So it's just you gotta just kind of know who you're going against, and it just depending on who the running back and then who the quarterback. You play action with Patrick Mahomes, like, yo, they about to sit back and throw it. Same thing with Joe Burrow. It's like, yo, they trying to throw the ball. Joe Burrow throw it 50 times a game. Patrick Mahomes throw it 50 times a game.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like,
And they trying to throw it over your head. Oh, for sure.
So through everything that you've been through and all the adversity that you faced, you always had a strong support system and people to lean on. You talked about when you were injured and they brought you into the tunnel. The first people you called were your wife, Michelle, and your dad. And just how important is that to just have a very just strong structure and people to lean on through like those hard times and adversity while going through something so traumatic?
I think it's very important, like very important, and I think a lot of people lose grasp of that. Like you have to have people that are like in our foundation, we call them caregivers. You have to have people that really care about you and really willing to do the extra mile for you in the time of need. When I was going through my injury, if Michelle wasn't there, my family wasn't there, I don't know if I would have been where I'm at now. And it might not be your family. It might be your best friend. It might be your cousin. It might be somebody else. But you got to have somebody that holds you accountable and understands what you're trying to get in life. If you tell them, man, I want to do this podcast, but every single day you're not doing nothing to get your podcast better, you're not holding yourself accountable. But if y'all talk to each other like, hey, I'm trying to do this, and like I'm trying to get this guest, and I'm trying to do this, and it's like, hey, he gonna hold you accountable. Hey, did you hit up Ryan? Like.
Yeah, I said that like 5-6 times.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, yeah, bro, I did. I said, let me see your phone.
I don't be hitting you up here, talking about hit people.
Yeah, you do sometimes.
Yeah,
here and
thank you.
there,
Come on,
but,
see, come on.
But you know what I'm saying, but you have to hold people accountable. Like when I was at the hospital, I was like, Michelle, I want to walk again. But then I'll be in the bed asleep and she's like, yo, I thought you wanted to walk.
Damn.
You know, like my best friend, he was my trainer at the time. He'll be to do the same thing. I'll be in the hospital playing my game, and it was like, yo, Ryan, it's time to go. I was like, man, I ain't feeling it today. It was like, no, it's time to go.
Yeah.
Like you gotta go. You gotta do rehab. Like even today, like I told her I was gonna be here at 9:15. I got here at 9:30. Like that's not acceptable. You know.
Yeah.
So you have to have people hold you accountable, because if you have somebody holding you accountable, it's a lot harder to say no to them than it is to say no to yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and once you start saying no to them, like once you start doing for them and then doing for yourself, it becomes easier to become a habit of doing the right things and actually making the right decisions. But if you imagine you got to go to the gym, you're like, hey man, I'm trying to lose weight, and every single day you not going to the gym. Every single day you eating honey buns and Oreos. It's like, yo, like, but you don't have nobody telling you, hey, lock in.
See, lock in.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're not gonna get better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
No, for real.
Just, and I think there's a few people in the world that can just do that themselves. Mm-hmm. But most people, when you're in a time of crisis and you're in a time of a situation where you're trying to move forward, you got to have somebody in your corner that's gonna kind of hold you accountable, because you might go hard for 5 straight days, but on that 6th day you might slack off. And your family member knows on that 6th day, if you slack off, you're going to fall off a cliff. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
1,000%.
You know, you just got to keep going.
Yeah, they know you, your family members and the people in your circle know you better than anyone. So,
Yeah.
like, they know
They're gonna push you.
what it takes to get you receptive, to make you the best person that you could be.
Yeah.
Super important. You know, everything that you've gone through, like, and even catching your second win and being where you are now has been so inspiring. And, you know, one question that we always ask on this show is, like, if you had one word or one phrase to describe your life and everything you've been through, what would it be and why?
Oh man, I feel like the one word from my life is just I was about to say 2 words, but I would just say adversity.
Yeah.
And the reason I would say that is because from the age I was born, I've always been different. I've always had to go a different route. I always had to always looked different. I always, had to fight extra battles. And I think adversity, is a great teacher for us, and it just teaches us how to just constantly move on, constantly how to adapt. You know, what you said, Coach Tomlin says,
accept, adjust, and move forward.
You just got to accept, adjust, and move forward. And I think that's kind of how my life has been. It's like, all right, this happened to me. Like when I was 5 years old, I had alopecia. I've been bald since I was 5 years old. Mm-hmm. Like I had to accept with it, I had to adjust with it, and I had to move on. You know, I can't keep like, oh my gosh, I don't have hair. I can't, like my life is over. No, it's like I have to keep on moving if I'm trying to reach these goals I'm trying to reach. Mm-hmm. Like I had a spinal cord injury. They told me I'll never walk. All right, I accept that, what y'all said. I'm adjusting. And I'm going to keep on going.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like,
for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
real.
Like, and it's just like, but I think just my life, when I look at it, I just look at the adversity that I had from the age I was 5 to where I'm at now. And I think every single moment in my life, I look back at it as history, like a history book. And I was like, all right, what did I do in this moment to help me overcome this? And it's allowed me to be where I'm at now.
Oh, that's amazing.
God damn.
Yeah, write that down, man.
I mean, we recording it.
Shit.
I'm gonna definitely after this. I'm gonna be like, damn, that joint was real as hell, man.
For real. And then last but not least, we have another staple question that we just like to ask. For the people watching, trying to catch their second wind, or maybe they want to be the next next great linebacker, or whatever, and just people hearing the impact from your story. What advice would you give to the people watching about catching their second wind?
Man, to me, I think the biggest thing is just like constantly pushing yourself, constantly just understanding like in every phase of your life, if it's your first win, second win, third win, you have to just keep pushing yourself to reach the goals and be where you want to go. I think a lot of people sometimes settle. It's like something good happen in your life and you settle. And I think just to be able to understand like, hey, like I'm not where I want to be at. And even if you are where you want to be, like that's not it. That's not the end. You have to keep going, and I try to strive that and teach my kids that, but I also have to constantly tell myself that because, something good might happen in your life and you're like, oh man, yeah, things are going great. But you also got to remember like, hey, to get where I want to get, this ain't it. I got to keep going, and that's something that I think I thrived at. I know I thrived at when I was playing. And, that's something that, as you get hurt or something happens in your life, you have to always look back and see how things worked out in the past and, incorporate that again.
Yes, sir.
Damn. That's beautiful, man.
That's amazing.
Hey, Ryan, we want to tell you, bro, we really appreciate you. Like, we can't thank you enough. Like I said, you a legend. You someone that I look up to, you know what I'm saying? So we appreciate you getting on the show, bro. Like we make the drive 100 times out of 100 to come see you. Especially your answers, bro. You gonna impact a lot of people.
Truly impactful, man. Just
giving me chills.
Your testimony, man. Your testimony is amazing, brother.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate y'all coming from New York, Connecticut, Philly. You know what I'm saying? And I just I'm just really thankful to spend this time with y'all and I know a few of y'all went to Penn State, so go Bucks.
No, for sure, man.
Second Win family, like, comment, subscribe. Go tell your auntie, go tell your pet fish, go tell your dog, go tell your god niece.
Subscribe.
Oh, and go get the merch. Just drop the merch. I look better than Jarvis.
I look way better. I got a cut too. So you're lucky I ain't take it off.
I got the Dewey on because I'm
please
sweet.
Go cop the new merch.
Second Win family.
Tune in.
Love
Appreciate
y'all.
you.